Knowing English is essential in the business world. So in this episode, I'm going to teach you some of the most common phrases that you will likely encounter in an English-speaking work environment. Let's get started. Hey everybody, how's it going? Thiago here, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. In case you're new here, I've created this podcast and YouTube channel to help intermediate and advanced learners of English communicate with more confidence, more accuracy, more clarity, and more awareness. If this sounds like something you want for yourself and your English, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube and also follow the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so you don't miss a single new episode. Before we start with today's episode, guys, I have a very special announcement to make. I am officially opening the first group of my conversation club. Classes will begin in August and will go until November. So if you're watching this in time, if you're watching this in July 2024, there is a chance for you to join my conversation club, which will start in August 2024 and run until November 2024. You know, one of the biggest complaints that I've heard from my followers is the fact that they don't have anybody to practice speaking with. Nowadays, it's very easy for you to practice your listening skills in English because you have videos like this one, you have podcasts and movies and series. It's easy for you to practice reading because you can find any text online nowadays and practice reading in English. But what about speaking? It's hard to find people to practice speaking with, especially if you don't live in an English-speaking country. So taking that into consideration, I've decided to open my conversation club, and the first group starts now in August. This is a safe environment where me and other learners will meet once a week, online, live, to discuss a topic in English. Isn't that cool? So if you want to learn more about the Conversation Club, how it works, and how you can join, I'm going to leave the link here in the description of the video. It's the first link that you will find in the description box. And also as a pinned comment down below, you're going to find the link there. Go to the page, watch the video there that I've made presenting all about the Conversation Club, how it works, and if it makes sense to you, you can join, okay? Let me tell you right now that there are two main conditions for you to join the Conversation Club. First, you need to be at least a B1 speaker of English already, because all the classes happen fully in English, all right? So you need to be at least a B1 or intermediate speaker of English. And the second condition, you need to be available every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. BRT. That's Brasilia time. That's the time the classes will happen, every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. BRT, Brasilia time. So if you are available on this day and at this time, if you can join the classes once a week, and if you have an intermediate level of English, check out the page and learn more about the Conversation Club. I'm looking forward to meeting you there. And if by any chance you cannot join now, I'm going to open another group next year, okay? But do check it out. I'm super excited about that because we're going to have great moments of conversation and discussion live, okay? So link in the description, learn more about it now. All right, on to today's topic. Today, we're going to talk about English vocabulary for work. I have compiled here some of the most common words and phrases that you will likely hear if you work at a multinational company, if you work in an English-speaking environment, okay? A lot of these words and expressions could be considered business jargon or corporate jargon, okay? So let's get started with the first one. The first word I have for you today is the word synergy. Synergy, or to synergize. You see companies and teams talking about that all the time. So here's an example. Let's focus on leveraging the synergy between our marketing and sales teams to drive higher conversion rates. So what does it mean to promote or to leverage synergy? Synergy is when two groups of people or two people come together to work together, and together they are able to deliver a result that neither one would have been able to deliver alone. Okay? It's that idea of 1 + 1 = 3. You know, I come in with my ideas and my approach to work. You come in with your ideas and your approach to work. And then together, you and I can create something that could have only been created if we had worked together. By myself, I would have never come up with that solution. By yourself, you would have never come up with that solution. That's why we say 1 + 1 = 3 and not equals 2, because together we generate a result that wouldn't have been accomplished otherwise. This is synergy, okay? The word leverage is also interesting because the example goes, let's focus on leveraging the synergy. When you leverage something, you take advantage of it. You take full advantage of it, okay? So that's the first word for you, synergy, or to synergize. In a company environment, usually you talk about synergy among your coworkers, the team members, or even departments. One department needs to synergize with the other department, okay? The second phrase is to get some new eyes on a project or to get some new eyes on something. Look at this example. We've been working on this project for a while, and I think it's time to get some new eyes on it. Let's bring in the design team and get their fresh perspective. So when you get some new eyes on a project that you're working on, you ask a third person who was not involved in that project to take a look at it and tell you what the person thinks about it, okay? You want a fresh, new perspective on your project. So you get some new eyes on your project. Another great expression is to move the needle. To move the needle. The needle is that pointy thing that some people are scared of, when we have to take a shot, for example, or a vaccine, that thing that prickles us, that's the needle. But the expression here is to move the needle. Here's the example. Our new marketing campaign needs to move the needle for us and increase our market share by at least 15% within the next quarter. So to move the needle in this business work context means to make significant progress, okay? To make significant progress. So our new marketing campaign needs to generate significant progress in our sales, basically. So it needs to move the needle for us. If an initiative at work doesn't move the needle, it doesn't contribute anything to the progress of the company, okay? The next word, unpack. Unpack. Here's the example. This market research report is quite complex. Let's take some time to unpack this data and analyze the key findings. So when you unpack data, you drill down, you analyze this data deeply, carefully, thoroughly. You unpack the data, you analyze it, you study it with time, with care, paying attention to every detail. This is unpacking data, all right? Another common one, ping me. If you say to someone at work, hey, when you have an answer, ping me, you're saying, hey, when you have an answer, reach out to me, contact me, all right? For example, please finalize your task by the end of the day and ping me. I'll review it and circle back to discuss any revisions tomorrow. Here's another great expression, to circle back. Circle back. I'll review it and circle back to discuss any revisions tomorrow. So to circle back is to revisit a topic, to talk about it again. Okay? So in the context here, the person is asking the colleague to finish the task, and then this person will review the task and circle back or get back to that discussion, that task. All right? You circle back. You can also use this expression to circle back when you're having a conversation about something. Maybe you are discussing in a meeting some topics, and there are 5 main topics that you have to discuss in that meeting. Maybe you talk about topic 1, but topic 1 is kind of complex. And then you can say, look, guys, I think we better move on with our agenda today. Let's talk about the other points. And then we circle back to this first point later. In other words, we come back to it. We revisit it later. Okay? Another expression, to drill down. To drill down. Here's an example. Before we make any investment decisions, we need to drill down into the financial statements and analyze the revenue breakdown by product category. Okay? So you see, to drill down into the financial statements. In other words, when you drill down the statements here, again, you analyze the statements thoughtfully, thoroughly, completely. Okay? Drill down is an interesting expression because to drill is, imagine, for example, you have to hang a picture on your wall, okay? And you need to make a hole in the wall. Usually you make the hole with a drill, okay? It's that tool, that electric tool that we use, the power drill, the one that goes, like that. Or drill could also be what those construction workers use on the street sometimes, on the asphalt, the guys go, drilling down the ground, So you see, to drill down the statements, you understand the idea, right? It's to really narrow your focus down and analyze the statements with care and attention, okay? Moving on here, this is a great one, guys. I'm going to read the example first. Look, I appreciate the opportunity, but I don't have the bandwidth to take on any additional project right now. My current workload is already at capacity. Great expression when you say, I don't have the bandwidth to do this, or I don't have the bandwidth to do that. When you say this to a colleague, you're saying that you can't take on any new project. You don't have the energy, the time to take on that project. Maybe you are already very busy as it is. Maybe you already have so many things to do and you can't take any new task or any new project. So in that case, you can say this, look, I don't have the bandwidth. I'm already at full capacity here. Great expression. Another common expression, low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit. This term refers to a target or goal that is easily achievable or attainable with minimal effort. It's often used in business settings to describe tasks or opportunities that can be quickly addressed to gain momentum or show progress. So why low-hanging fruit? Think of a tree that bears fruit, okay? The tree has branches, right? Some branches are taller, other branches are lower, okay? Now think about it. From which branch is it easier for you to pick a fruit from the tree? From the highest branch or from the lowest branch? From the lowest, right? It's minimal effort. All you gotta do is reach out and get the fruit. You see, that's a low-hanging fruit because that fruit is hanging low compared to the other fruit. Got it? So visually, that's what it means. So a low-hanging fruit in a business setting is maybe a task, an initiative that is not going to consume a lot of time and energy from your team. It's something easy to implement, easy to do, but that can provide significant results or progress. Okay? Let's move on here. This one is really common. To think outside the box. To think outside the box. I'm sure you have heard that one before. So this is an idiom that means to think creatively, unconventionally, or from a new perspective. It encourages breaking free from traditional or expected ideas and finding innovative solutions to problems. You think outside the box. So it's about challenging the status quo, challenging the norm, and being creative in a brainstorming session. So you try to come up with original solutions. That's thinking outside the box. What about deep dive? That's a very common expression in the workplace as well. Deep dive. That's a thorough and detailed examination of a topic. In other words, when you examine a topic with care, with attention, paying attention to details, you do a deep dive on that topic. So we need to do a deep dive into the data to understand the trends. You see, it's a deep dive because when you dive, when you jump on the swimming pool, usually you dive, right? So a deep dive into a topic, or in this case, into the data, it's a deep analysis. All right. This one is also nice. Elevator pitch. What is an elevator pitch? That's a concise and persuasive summary of a business idea or product, typically delivered in the time it takes to ride an elevator. For example, can you give me your elevator pitch for the new product? I mean, we can picture the image here. Imagine you take the elevator and there's another person there, and this person happens to be a billionaire investor. Both of you are going to the top floor, and the exact time the elevator needs to get to the top floor is 30 seconds. You might not have the opportunity to talk to this billionaire business investor ever. So how do you convince him in 30 seconds that your product or your company is worth investing? Yeah. So you start pitching your product, your company, your idea to this investor. But you see, in the shortest amount of time. That's the literal image here. Okay. But you can call an elevator pitch, any persuasive attempt to convince somebody of something that is done in a short amount of time. Maybe you are at a meeting at work, and you have a great idea for something. And then you can give the elevator pitch of your idea. Like in a few seconds or maybe in a minute, you tell everybody why you believe that idea is the best one. You see? That's the elevator pitch. Game changer, another common expression. That's a new idea, technology, or development that significantly alters or changes the current situation. For example, this new technology could be a game changer for our industry. Okay? By now, I think it's fair to say that AI has been a game changer for many professionals and for many industries. Okay? Let's come back to that word from the beginning, to leverage. When you leverage something, you use something to its maximum advantage. Okay? So you take advantage of that to the fullest. For example, we need to leverage our existing resources to expand into new markets. Okay? In other words, we need to make the most of our existing resources. You need to leverage that. I think this is particularly true, guys, when you are a new business owner or a new entrepreneur. You're just starting out building your own business. Usually when you start out building your own business, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of resources. So you need to leverage every single resource you have. You need to use it to the fullest. All right? Another great one, touch base. Let's touch base. This means to make brief contact or check in with someone. For example, let's touch base next week to discuss the project's progress. Okay? In other words, let's talk about it. Let's get together next week to touch base, to see how the project is doing. All right? Then we have value proposition. Value proposition. What is a company's value proposition, for example? That's a statement summarizing the benefits and value a company offers its customers. It's a statement, you see? It's not something super long. For example, our value proposition is high quality products with excellent customer service. You see, it's a statement. that pretty much summarizes what the company does or what value the company brings to the market. And then we have win-win situation. Win-win, right? That's a situation in which all parties involved benefit. A situation in which all parties or all people, all companies involved benefit. For example, we negotiated a win-win solution that satisfies both our needs. Yeah? Ideally, when you negotiate something, we should always strive to reach a win-win deal or a win-win solution. It's a deal that both parties are happy with. Sometimes it might not be possible to achieve that, but our mindset going into a negotiation should always be that. The mindset of striving for a win-win situation or deal whenever possible. All right? So guys, that's it. These are some of the most common words and phrases that you will likely encounter if you have a job in English, if you work for a multinational company, organization, and there are more, but these are some of the most common ones. One final word about jargon and specific vocabulary like this, use it with taste. Okay? Use jargon with taste, because overusing some of these words and expressions can actually alienate your audience and make your communication more confusing than it could be. This is actually a popular criticism that I see some people making about business vocabulary or business jargon like that. Sometimes it's so specific, sometimes it's so out there that it ends up being more confusing than clear in terms of communication. So it's good for you to know these, it's good for you to use these, but be tasteful with that. You know, for example, maybe you don't have to use low-hanging fruit. You don't have to say that expression. Maybe you can just say that, oh, this is a task that is very easy to implement, and I think that is going to drive significant results. You see? So depending on who you're talking to, not necessarily do you have to use all these expressions here. But again, it's nice for you to know them so that you can understand it when people use them. Okay? And that's it for this episode, guys. Don't forget to check out and learn more about my new conversation club, which is starting next month in August 2024. One thing I didn't mention at the beginning of the video, the spots are limited. Obviously, I can't accept too many people because I have to keep control of the group, because I will be there week after week with you guys. Okay? So limited spots. Once the spots are filled, the enrollment will automatically close, and then you're going to have to wait till next year. So if I were you, I would click on the link in the description of the video here. Also, if you are on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go to the show notes. The link is there. Watch the video presentation there on the page. Read everything on the page. And if it makes sense to you, if you can make it, enroll now so that you secure your spot. Okay? Also, don't forget to check out my pronunciation course, which is still available on pre-sale. Maybe you cannot join my conversation club now for whatever reason, but you can still purchase the pronunciation course, and then you can start studying and learning more about English pronunciation. You can also find the link in the description of the video and in the show notes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Guys, I'm Thiago. I'm signing off, and I'll be talking to you very soon in the upcoming episode. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.